Stanford Cal said to the ACC, hey, yo, let me in your conference and pay me the exact same thing you pay Clemson. Out of respect. No, not how this thing works. Kind of weird that, and what this leads to is if the ACC says, all right, fine, $35-40 million for every school. We're going to short you, Clemson. We're going to short you, Virginia. We're going to short you, Boston College, by millions of dollars to allow Cal, and Stanford, and more egregious than not, SMU in this league. I just don't think that's going to go over very well. This is the beginning of the end of the ACC. We're all going to look back and say, remember that one time the ACC stuck its neck out for Cal and Stanford? And in the end, Florida State left and Clemson left and Miami left and UNC left and the entire conference fell apart. And for the second time within 5 years, Stanford and Cal didn't have a conference. What are we doing? Also, SMU. What is happening there? They just want to be invited to the lunch table. They don't want to eat lunch. They said, dumbfounding. If you let me sit at your lunch table, I won't eat lunch. I won't eat lunch for 10 years. What the stupid are we doing here? We're going to forfeit all television revenue. We're not going to have an equal sharing deal. We're not going to ask for a dime. We just want to be in the ACC for 10 years. Again, SMU is going to sign this, and then Florida State's going to say, wow, we are forfeiting money to support Cal, Stanford, and what is SMU doing in our conference? They're going to leave. One of the I guess kind of still cool things about the ACC is it's mostly the Atlantic Coast. It's mostly the Atlantic Coast Conference that has that going for it. You get up to like Syracuse and you think, oh, what's happening? Syracuse, Florida State's terrible travel. People always talk. We talk a lot about the East to West, that being bad travel. We don't talk that much about North and South and how bad that travel is. This is a spot where Florida State's going to say, oh, you're going to make me travel to Stanford and win 75-0 in football. Oh, you're going to make me travel to Stanford and play them in basketball. Oh, Florida State has to play a road football game against SMU. Do you understand? Against SMU, do you understand how embarrassing all of this is? How pitiful and sad and embarrassing this ACC expansion thing is. That they're going to allow the leftovers, the ones who didn't get a lifeboat in Stanford and Cal from the Pac-12 to come into the conference, dilute the conference from a financial standpoint, dilute the conference from a brand standpoint. I get it. Stanford's endowment is huge. Cal's got a huge athletic budget and is $400 million in debt, the most of any school in America. And the ACC says, come on in, boys. The water's fine, and we'll give you just as much money as we give Florida State, Clemson, Miami. Do you think it's going to go over well? Do you think Clemson's going to say fine? Miami's going to say fine? Do you think Florida State, Saudi Arabian money, Florida State, is going to say, yeah, well, we'll divvy out a few million dollars. We'll take Stanford. No, they don't want them. You know who's advocating the most for Stanford right now is Notre Dame. I hope that when the little leprechaun guy walks into I hope that's what they said in the boardroom to make these conversations is the little leprechaun guy. And that he just gets slapped anytime he tries to speak. Because right now, the biggest advocate for academic powerhouse Stanford is Notre Dame. You don't even go here. You don't even belong in the ACC. Some years you're in the Big Ten. You can't decide. Your football team is independent. You play half your games against Pac-12, a third against Pac-12, a third against Big Ten, and a third against the East Coast, and sometimes BYU. I don't think it's making sense in my brain how any of this would be a smart business move. And I hope what you're connecting here is, wasn't there a conference one time that made some pretty stupid business decisions and that didn't work out for them? Yes, they no longer exist, but that would be the Pac-12, for what was formerly known as the Pac-12. Funny, I had Michelle Leonard, which is Baylor's soccer coach, was on a radio show that I host this week. And she said, yeah, so it's crazy how the Power Four is. I couldn't, she stopped herself, corrected herself to Power Four. That was awesome. Nuts, man. The ACC is going to stick its neck out and get burnt because it's going to say, oh, yeah, come on, Stanford, come on, Cal. We'll cut everybody else by millions of dollars. Maybe ESPN pitches in some more money. That would be the hope here, is that ESPN pitches in more money. And there have been conversations that if Cal and Stanford cannot make an agreement with the ACC, that ESPN would help try to foot the bill to put them in the Big 12. That happens, I will, on this show, on Locked On Baylor, I will go live. I'll do a live stream. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then I will take my hands, claw out my left hamstring, and eat it raw. I'll eat my hamstring on a live stream if Cal and Stanford go to the Big 12. It's not going to happen. We could talk about the hypothetical of it, but this is all insane madness. You know what's not insane madness? The Game Time app. You know what is insane madness? Trying to get into a game. Also insane madness that Utah's Kyle Whittingham said some idiotic things. He said some idiotic things on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.